So for this task, the fourth task, we are to implement a replay function to display the history of calls of a particular function. The particular function is the catch.store method. We should use the keys generated in the previous task to generate the following output. So here they're saying if catch.store was called 3 times, that we should print out catch.store was called 3 times. Then we print the method that was called, followed by the input, then followed by the UUID, which stands for Universal Unique Identifier, I guess. So we print it out, and then we are to use lrange and zip. Lrange, you use it to retrieve elements or values from a list in Redis. Then zip can be used to concatenate, loop over inputs and outputs using 2 lists in once simultaneously. So to the task, you can see that I've already defined the function and properly annotated it, and then added doc strings. So let's start here. So as usual, we create a variable name called method, create a variable called method. So we use it to access the name of the method, that's catch.store. Then we create a Redis connection, then it's client. We use it to connect Redis server for communication. And then next thing we do is to construct the keys for input and output list. That's the keys that we already constructed and added to Redis database. So we are still going to retrieve the keys, inputs keys and output keys, so that we can retrieve the elements in both lists, and then they check the length of both lists. I mean, the length of both lists are going to be the same. So we use the f string to create the key, and then we do the same for output key using f string to create the name of the key. So don't forget that the keys, they already exist in the Redis database. We are only going to use them to retrieve the elements in the list. So we created both lists in the previous function decorator. So next thing we use the range to retrieve the inputs from Redis and save it into this variable called input data. So we call the Redis client dot lrange, and then we pass in the input key, which is the name of the list in the Redis database, followed by 0, which is the first index in the list, and then -1, which is the last index of the list, meaning that we want everything in the list. We don't want to leave anything out. So we do the same for output data, and then call the Redis client dot lrange, and then we do the same. We pass in the output key, which is the name of the list in Redis, and we pick up everything from first index to the last index, and then we save it to output data. And then next we are going to check how many times catch.store was called. How many times imputes was given to catch.store method. That is how many times it was called. So we are going to be checking and saving the length of the elements in input data in a variable called calls count. So by so doing, you can get how many times the store method was called. Since the input data has all the inputs given to catch.store, we know that the length of the input data is the number of times catch.store was called and given input. So calls count is going to have the number of times the catch.store was called. So next thing we do, we have to first print the information about the as required. Just we print the information. Catch.store was called 3 times. So we use the print function to create and get the same output as required from the requirement. So I'm using format, pass method name, and then the calls count. Then next thing we do is we are going to iterate through both the input data and the output data. That's the list, both lists. So we are going to use zip to be able to iterate through both lists simultaneously. So input is going to hold the elements input data, and output is going to hold the elements in the output data. So I guess next thing we to do is to print out the format as via the requirement from the task. Yes. So the first should be the method name followed by asterisk input, and then the input in bytes. Input in that's the key, which is the UID that we created. So we pass a method name which is store.catch, then followed by the inputs. So we have to decode the input to UTF-8, and then followed by the output, which we also have to decode. as UTF-8. Yeah, I think that should do. So if you find this helpful, please like and subscribe. So skipped something here. There's supposed to be an asterisk here. Then there's a typo. Yeah, that is it. Don't forget to like.